Hey guys, this is Bhushan here from Gadget Work, and today we're going to be doing a comparison between the iPad 2 and the Samsung Galaxy Tab 10.1. There are two parts to this video, so make sure you check out the other one too. So let's start up by comparing the startup time of these two tablets, and then we can move on to the specs. Uh, Uh, the iPad 2 and the Tab are running on the latest firmwares. The iPad 2 is running on 4.3, iOS 4.3, and the Galaxy Tab is running on Android 3.1. Yeah. Looks like the iPad 2 turned on a bit faster. And there's the Samsung Tab. Yeah. So let's talk about the specs. Let's talk about the screen first. The iPad 2 has a 9.7 inch screen, and the Galaxy Tab has a 10.1 inch screen. The resolutions of the screen, the iPad 2 screen is 1024 by 768 pixels, and the Galaxy Tab screen is 1280 by 800 pixels. So according to specs, the Galaxy Tab screen is better, but there's not much difference when you actually use the tablet. Yeah, and both are capacitive and have multi-touch, but let's face it, the sensors, the touch sensors of the iPad 2 are much better than that of the Galaxy Tab. Yeah. So let's talk about the dimensions of these tablets. Now, the iPad 2 does feel a lot better to hold than the Galaxy Tab, but according to specs, the Galaxy Tab is slimmer and lighter. Let me see if we can. Yeah, as you can see, the Galaxy Tab is slimmer than the iPad 2, and it is lighter. The Galaxy Tab is 600 grams, whereas the iPad 2 is 607 grams. It's only a matter of 7 grams, but it actually makes a difference when you're holding it for a long time, when you read books and stuff. So let's talk about the processors of these two tablets. Now, as you know, Apple iPad runs on the Apple A5 chip, which is dual core, 1 GHz, and the Galaxy Tab runs on the NVIDIA Tegra 2 dual core, which is also 1 GHz. The RAM on these two tablets is the iPad 2 has 512 MB RAM, and the Galaxy Tab has 1 GB RAM, which makes it faster. They both have 3G models, and both have Wi-Fi, both have Bluetooth 2.1 with A2DP. The iPad 2 does have a HDMI out if you connect the HDMI kit, of course. The Galaxy Tab does not have a HDMI kit as yet. The battery life of the iPad 2 is supposedly 10 hours, and the Galaxy Tab has a battery life of up to 7 hours. Yeah, and now let's talk about the cameras of these two tablets. The Galaxy Tab has a 3 megapixel camera at the back, and the iPad 2 has a 0.9 megapixel camera at the back. So there's quite a difference there, but it actually doesn't make any difference when you're actually clicking pictures. Both are pretty bad. yeah, you can't use them for full-fledged photography, but they are quite useful in apps which use cameras. Yeah, so that's the difference. The Galaxy Tab is much better, but uh, they both aren't so good. So yeah, both are multi-touch, as you can see, but there's this new cool way of zooming in on Android. You just have to hold, yeah, so you can zoom in like that. That's pretty cool. It uses a gyroscope to do that. The iPad 2 also has a gyroscope, but does not use it. Another thing is the Galaxy Tab has widgets, and as you know, the iPad does not. So the Galaxy Tab has an edge there. Yeah. So let's jump in to the browsers of these two tablets. I personally prefer Safari better because it's quite smoother and more user friendly. Now let's have a small speed test between these two tablets. Both the tablets history and caches are cleared, so it should be a fast speed test. So let's go. Yeah. Looks like the Galaxy Tab loaded a bit quicker than the iPad 2. Just a few seconds, but it did load quicker. And now another advantage that the Galaxy Tab has over the iPad 2 is that the iPad 2 doesn't have flash, which is a big blow to the guys at Apple. Let me just show you a website which uses flash. As you can see, when the website loads on the iPad, it says that flash is not available, but in the Galaxy Tab, flash runs smoothly. So that's an advantage for the tab. And also the tab has tabbed browsing. Yeah, so that's an advantage too. But I still prefer Safari because it's a lot smoother while actually browsing the web. Yeah. Uh, so let's talk about the OS of these two tablets. Now the Android, this is currently running on Android 3.1 and the iPad 2 is running on iOS 4.3. I personally prefer iOS than Android because I think it's a lot more user friendly than Android, but the iOS is actually your personal choice. Let's talk about the markets of the app markets of these two tablets. Android has Android market and Apple has App Store. Now the App Store is quite literally demolishes the Android market. It has 50,000 apps for tablets, whereas the Android market just has 750 apps for tablets. So the App Store is quite clearly a much better store. Both these are quite navigable, but I again prefer App Store more than Android market. Yeah, it's quite easy to download an app too. Yeah. So the iPad has iTunes to download movies and music. The Android has a new update in 3.1. It has this little app called Video, and to download videos, and this little app called Music Hub to download music. Now let me just open Media Hub where you can download movies too. Yeah, so you can see it gives you a list of the new movies. You can just download the movies that you want. Yeah, so thank God for this update. Android was quite lagging behind before this update, but now it's back on track. As you can see, the apps, the iTunes store is quite good too. Yeah, but again, the iPad has much more the iTunes store has much more movies and music than the Android stores. So that's again an advantage for Apple. Now let's run